Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to my February wrap-up in which I will show you what are the books that I got recently. Now, for those of you who are not watching my plans videos, in January I planned my January plans video, and in these videos I basically tell you what are the books that I will definitely be reading that month, such as ARCs or buddy reads, and I also tell you what books I have currently in my cart on Book Depository, so basically the books that I'm thinking about buying, and I go through the whole process of how I decide which books to get. And of course, now you will see the results of that video. So I will go through all of the books that I had in my cart and we shall see what I managed or not to get. So here we go. So the first book that I had in my cart back in January was The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan, which is book 5 in his Wheel of Time series that I'm currently reading. At the time I was reading book 4, so I figured it's, time that I get the next one, and I definitely did. I knew back then that I was gonna get it, and here it is. Back then I was basically just debating whether or not to get it online or at my local bookstore, and it was actually cheaper at my local bookstore, so I decided to get it there. What it's about, it's well, epic fantasy about a bunch of boys who go on adventure basically, and a lot of things happen, and it's long-winded and slow-paced fantasy, like old school type of fantasy, and I'm currently reading it. I was supposed to start this book basically this month because I wanted to do a book a month, but that's not gonna happen, especially not with my new plans for the next few months. If you watched my BookTube SFF Awards shortlist video, which I talk about the shortlist as well as my TBR for the next few months, because I do want to get to that shortlist. I want to read a lot of books from there, so I'm not sure how we'll be able to squeeze this one in or not, but we shall see, I guess, in the next few months. But this one was a definite buy, of course. The next book that I had on my list was The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, and I was deciding whether or not to get this one because the fact is that I am sort of trying to limit myself how many books I'm gonna buy this year, and there's also the fact that I have not read books 1 and 2 in this series, and it made little sense for me to get this book. But despite that, the price was really great. It was like €4 off the regular price, so I was really tempted and I gave into that temptation and I got the book, and here is The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, which is book 3 in the Broken Earth trilogy. And as I said, I have not started the series yet, but with my new TBR plans for the next few months, I will definitely be needing this one, so I'm really happy that I got it, and a pretty good price. So yeah, here it is. I'm not sure what it's about, actually. I have no clue what this series in general is about, so I will be surprised, and hopefully I will like it, because, it's an investment of sorts. The next book that I had in my cart in January was Etched in Bone by Anne Bishop, which is book 5 in her other series, and I love that series, and I have read this book already, so it wasn't such a pressing need for me to get it. I have an e-edition, so basically I have it on my Kindle, but I do, collect it as well as mass market paperback, and it just came out back then, or is it? I think it's actually coming out in March, but I did want to pre-order it, and I decided not to get it because, as I said, I already read it and the need is not there. I mean, I would like to collect, have the whole collection, the whole series, but, there are other books that sort of are more important, and I decided to forgo that one. The next book that I had in my cart was Hero at the Fall by Elvin Hamilton, which is book 3 in her Rebel of the Sands trilogy. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but let's just go with that. Now, the thing is, now it was in the beginning of 2017, I read Rebel of the Sands, and I was sort of not sure how I feel about it, or especially not sure whether or not I want to continue on with the series, but then I did buy the second book, which is Traitor to the Throne, I think, but I have not read that one yet, so it made little sense, as I was saying in my January plans video, to get the third one. And yet that's exactly what I did, and I have it here. For some reason I just felt like I needed this book, and of course that's reason enough to buy it. I'm really looking forward to, reading a young adult fantasy. I don't feel like I have read all that much, at least not this year, and I still have hopes for this series. I mean, I've heard that the second book is better than the first one, because the first one, it's about, let me tell you, it's about this girl who lives in the desert, and she lives in a town, with smallish town, and her faith is basically set out for her. Her parents are her guardians, I'm not sure exactly anymore. Basically they told her who she's gonna marry, what she has to do. Everything is set and she doesn't want that, so she decides to go on a run and she goes along with this boy. And you know, plot was sort of or you know, there wasn't much of it. Things started happening, well, things happened along the way, but until the end, I don't know, I just didn't feel it. But as I said, I've heard good things about, well, better things about the second one, so I don't know, for some reason I just want to read these books. So yeah, I was hoping that I would get to book 2 by now, but that didn't happen with all the arcs and buddy reads and everything that I had. So I'm not sure now with the new TBR. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to it, but probably not before summer. And hopefully then I will actually get through these books. But yeah, I really like the cover, sort of. Maybe I like the Americans better. American covers better, not Americans. Well, I like Americans, but don't listen to me. Another book that I had in my cart back in January was Brothers Ruined by Emma Newman. I'm not really sure what this book is about. I think it's actually a novella and it's supposed to be like steampunk, but I'm not sure what it's about. I do know that people like Emma Newman, so I wanted to give it a go. But then I decided not to get that book because I have so many new series that I can start on my shelves and so many books that I have to read, and that one can wait a little bit longer, I figured. And the last book that I had in my cart was Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. This, even back then I knew that I was gonna get, I just wasn't sure of which edition I'm gonna get because for some reason the UK publisher, which, you know, I am getting the UK editions, but they decided not to get the rights for this book. And of course then I was trying to figure out which edition that is going to be out there to get, because, you know, sizes and covers, all that matters. And in the end I decided just to go with the US hardback by Tor, and this is it. I actually already read a preview of this book because I had it as an ARC, and I actually talk about it in my wrap-up, I think books 10 to 12. You can watch it there. It's not a review, just basically my opinion and feelings about the preview that I read. And I actually already checked this book out. Firstly, it has a really nice hardback beneath it. Well, it's pretty simple, but still, it says The True Tale of the 12 Paladins, and they definitely are mentioned in there. And actually, I like the formatting of this book. It's firstly, of course, it has a map, which every fantasy book should have, and it's actually formatted as a diary. And the arc that I've read, basically, as you know, that there are sketches and maps and notes from other things in there, but it was just awkwardly formatted, and sometimes you weren't really sure just what you were reading. You know, you had to think a bit. But I did not appreciate that, but still I did like the preview enough to, of course, you know, buy it. Or actually I already bought it by then, but still I just like this series, so, you know, it makes sense. So yeah, as I said, we have different notes, pictures, here we have like prayers, we have notes, you know, on the sides, on the margins, and I really like this a lot better than the ARC. So anyways, I think, as I said in my, whatever that is, review, this is a book that if you like this series, you will want to get it, because it does tell a lot more about Ryber, who's a character that we met in Wind Witch, and it tells a lot about the history of this world, how witches came to be, how they evolved, you know, to what they are today. We learn more about Sight Witches. They're slightly different from the rest of the witches, and then there's this huge mystery in this book as well, and I will be reading it. Hopefully I'll be able to squeeze it into my TBR for the next few months. But if not, I will be picking it up sometime in the summer. Anyways, guys, these are all the books that I got in January. I'm pretty proud of myself for not getting all of them, using my sense, at least sometimes. But yeah, if you want to find out what books I'm planning to buy this month and what books you will potentially see in my March book haul, do go check out my February plans. And until next video, thank you for watching this one, and see you in my next one. Bye!